the story of Old Man Logan has been continuing. Now let's just talk about something that's real legit for 1 second. He's just Wolverine, right? Like, Old Man Logan should be his own character, but he's just Wolverine with gray hair. That's basically all he is, which is a good thing because I like Old Man Logan and I like Wolverine. And I think you do too. Today we're going to be exploring what happened in his past life that led to the wastelands as he travels through the various memories of his history. In our last video, Logan had broken into a maximum security super prison in search of a magic user. There, Logan freed Asmodeus in an attempt to have himself teleported back to the wastelands to protect baby Hulk. As Logan was separated from his body, he started to see that he went too far into the past. Asmodeus had double-crossed him. He looked around, and he could see that he wasn't in the wastelands, and he was much younger. The colonial soldiers surrounded him, telling him now they finally caught the Canadians' best assassin as their prisoner. Logan is led through the snowy woodlands and he starts to remember what this is. It's the War of 1812, and he can't remember what happened next. He's then thrown into a cell as General Macmillan walks in telling him, "This man doesn't look so dangerous now, does he?" Macmillan looks down at Logan and asks, "Why do you think I had my men scouring the woods for you? Is it because one of my soldiers you just butchered back in the Battle of Detroit was my son?" Macmillan pulls Logan's head back, slashing away at his face without saying a word. Logan growls. Everyone watches closely and they see the wound on Logan's face begin to heal. And Macmillan shouts for everyone to get out, lock the cell. Captain Everett holds out an amulet and he says that they also found this near the prisoner and it's glowing. Logan spots the amulet, the only way that he'll be able to get home, and then his claws pop out. He knows that if there's any chance for him to return, he's gonna be with that amulet. He rips through the chains and the cell bars, and he charges at the soldiers. All of them begin to open fire, and as Logan leans back up, all he can do is growl. While Logan fires at the soldiers, Macmillan begins to escape with the amulet. Logan tears his way through running after Macmillan, and then he tackles him to the ground, taking back his amulet. After getting away, he looks at the glowing amulet, and then his spiritual body is taken back out and sucked right back into the time stream. He thinks that maybe this nightmare is over, and then the darkness and the pain sets in, and it's pain that he's never felt before. But then he remembers. He does remember this pain. And after working up the courage to open up his eyes, he knows exactly where he is. Weapon X. However, as Logan does open up his eyes, he sees the amulet floating next to him. He desperately swims, trying to grab at it. The scientists outside shock Logan to stop him, but he continues to try until he finally catches the amulet. The time stream opens back up, and he's pulled back out of his younger body, off into another version of himself in the timeline. Meanwhile, in the proper time, Asmodeus tells the henchmen from all of the different organizations that he is now in possession of a weapon deadlier than anything that they could have ever known. He'll start this off by asking, how much will each of them pay for this man? Back with Logan, his eyes open up and he sees the yellow and the blue costume, which is much better than floating around in Weapon X. And that's when he hears the sounds of trees snapping. He looks up to see that he's in the middle of the fight between the Hulk and Wendigo. Logan remembers that this is the first time that he ever went up against Banner. Between those two giant things is the amulet. Of course, that's where it is. Logan brings out his claws and he jumps into the middle of the fight, shouting, "Wolverine is coming through!" Hulk shouts, "Little man jumps around like rabbit! Stand still or Hulk smash!" With a single swipe from the Hulk, Logan's body is thrown through the trees, but rather than fight off the Hulk, he cuts into Wendigo. The Hulk then punches Wendigo away, telling him, "Hulk doesn't understand! First little man fight Hulk, now he fight Hulk enemy!" Logan doesn't respond to him, and instead he jumps past the Hulk, grabbing at the amulet. The Hulk knocks Logan back into the ground, and he grabs the amulet asking, "What this?" But not knowing what the amulet is, the Hulk tosses it off into the woodlands. He then digs into the ground, pulling out a giant boulder, and he says, "I will show Beauty Man how strong Hulk am!" Logan rolls around, cutting into the Hulk's leg, and he runs into the woods where the amulet fell. Just as Logan grabs for it, the Hulk jumps down right onto his back, and he begins to pound. But before Logan can lose the feeling in his body, his soul is zapped into the time stream. He opens his eyes again to see that he's not in the woods, but in Central Park, the place where, oh no, he can feel the fiery heat, and then he hears Jean shouting that she is fire and life incarnate. She is now and forever Phoenix! She blasts everyone away with a fire blast, and Logan gets back up trying to reason with her, hoping that this time things might be different. He looks back at the amulet and he reaches out calling for Jean, and that's when the giant Phoenix appears. Logan watches the Phoenix leave, and with a heavy heart, he picks up the amulet, wishing to be anywhere but here. With another flash of light, he opens his eyes to find himself in Japan, right in the middle of a ninja ambush. The claws come out and blood and limbs fly everywhere, and when it's all said and done, Logan says that made him feel better. He holds out the amulet, ready to jump yet again, and then he stops, saying that there's one more thing that he has to do. He jumps from rooftop to rooftop until he finally opens the door up to see Mariko. She asks if everything's alright, and he kisses her, telling her, "Alright, now I can go." He pulls himself out of the water, gasping for air. The smell of the sewers. He would know that smell from anywhere. He was back in Madripoor. Back in the current time, one of the Hive agents asks how can they be so sure that they don't have to worry about Wolverine returning. An AIM agent says that they'll pay $1 million. They need proof that he's not there. Asmodeus smiles, telling them fine, and he takes out a dagger, stabbing it into Logan's chest. Of course, his body doesn't move, because over in the past, he yells as his body feels that pain. But before he has a chance to even think about what just happened, a young boy skates by, stealing the amulet. The boy weaves through the crowds as Logan runs through, knocking everyone over, and then he turns into the alleyway after the boy. That's when he sees nothing. Then a group of men ask what a hairy barbarian is doing in their alley. Logan looks at the men and he thinks to himself that he doesn't have time to deal with any Yakuza, but it seems he won't have a choice in the matter. He calls out to the leader, Dragonhead, telling them that if they're looking for death, he'll deliver. Dragonhead gives the order to shoot, and all but one of the men light up Logan. That one single man looks at Logan's body, telling him he's toast. And then the schnick can be heard. Logan jumps out of the trash, telling them, "You took your best shot. Now it's my turn." Within seconds, the alleyway is littered with bodies and blood of the dead Yakuza. And Logan asks Dragonhead what about him? Still a tough guy? Dragonhead runs off and he notices the patch that he was carrying fell out. And he says screw it, and he puts it back on. A short while later, he catches up to the boy who stole the amulet, and he happens to be sitting and eating a bowl of noodles. Logan asks how are the noodles, and the boy gets up to run, so Logan grabs him, telling him not so fast. The boy asks, "What is this thing?" And Logan tells him, "Who knows? Freaks me the hell out too, but I gotta go." He grabs the amulet and he's brought back into the time stream, and then he blinks. As he does, a baseball whizzes by and Bobby shouts, "Strike!" Jubilee yells, "How could that have been a strike? That pitch almost took off his nose!" Logan looks around and sees himself at Xavier's mansion, and he quickly turns to Bobby, telling him, "You gotta listen. I don't have much time." He yells that he needs to remember the address, 123 Bleecker Street in Jersey. The date is... But before he can tell if Bobby heard him, he's brought back into the time stream. He then falls face first in the sand, and he feels old. He looks out at the sandhills and he says that this is it. He's back in the wastelands. He's back home. He walks down to his old house and he grabs the doorknob, thinking he really should. He already knows what he's about to find. Nothing. As the door swings open, there's Scotty, Marine, and Jade, just like they were before. He tries to process what he's looking at, and Jade asks what he's holding. He looks at the amulet and he steps on it, telling them, "It's nothing. I think this is... I'm home, and I'm never going back." Later, the light begins to shine into Logan's room, and Maureen says morning. So, what was that all about last night? He says he, just missed her, that's all. And then Maureen gets up telling him, well, she's not going anywhere. After breakfast, Logan and Scotty head out into the farm to get the tractor up and running. And Logan thinks how he had forgotten how this was. Just being with family, doing normal things. As the hood was closed, Logan tells himself that he came back for Banner's grandkid, but instead he got so much more. This is so real. This is real. He's home! Over in the current time, though, Asmodeus continues his business when suddenly shards of ice begin to shoot into the walls. Bobby slides in with ice claws, telling him an old friend of his said to come here on this day. Jean then breaks in through the glass and tells Asmodeus to release Logan for whatever that spell he's cast on him. Asmodeus says that he, can't. And Jean asks, "What do you mean that you can't?" Asmodeus says, I lost contact with Logan's consciousness. He's lost in time. Back in the past, Maureen comes out and tells Logan that she really is a natural, huh? It's like Jade was born to ride. Logan looks out to see Jade riding a horse. And Scotty says that she really shouldn't be out there. Today is payment day. Just then, a ship flies down onto the field, and one of the Hulk gang members says, "She looks cute." Another one tells her, "If you say so, but I've never really trusted redheads." Logan runs up asking, what do they want? And the Banners tell him, "You should know why we're here. Rent's due." Logan says, "You'll have it soon. Go into the market to do some trading." He then clenches his fist as he thinks that he can do something about it this time. All he has to do is bring out those claws and he can gut them right here and now. Except the claws, they won't come out. One of the Banners punch into Logan while the others begin to stomp on him. And he thinks to himself, that's it. That's the catch. He can't change anything while in the past. He's gonna watch them die all over again. A little while later, after getting patched up, he sits on his steps and Maureen asks, how are they gonna pay them? He says that he'll go to the market and trade some of their tools. And then Jade calls out, stating that she felt sad when they hit him. She went ahead and fixed up the pretty necklace. Logan looks at the amulet, stumbling back, weighing the options. Leave this place or lose them all over again. Logan tells Jade to give him an extra big hug and tells her that he loves her so much. He holds the amulet, stating that one day he'll come home and find them dead. But not today. Today they're alive. And this is the best day of his life. Back in the current times, he gasps for air and Bobby asks if everything's all right. Jean helps Logan up and Logan looks at Bobby and says that he's impressed that the ice pick remembered. Bobby says, you know, I'm not just a pretty face. What should we do about Asmodeus? Logan tells him to toss him back in the hole where they found him. I'm going for a walk. He walks out to the pier and he thinks about how the last year all he's been doing is running around trying to find a way back home. But while he's been trying to forget them, he'd forgotten about the good stuff. The way that Maureen would always seem to just wake up just before he could. How Scotty always knew what tool was needed and never wanted to wait to get his hands dirty. And even how Jade's breath felt warm on the back of his neck when she hugged him. The past will always be with him, but his life is here. His life is now. And with that, Logan takes the amulet and throws it into the river. And there you have it, another story of Wolverine. Old Man Logan. Logan. Honestly, come on, seriously? Like, they killed him and they just brought him back as an old man. Like, it's cool, I'm fine with it, but Marvel, let's just say it for what it is. You brought back an old man version of the character that we all loved. You killed him and you're like, we're never bringing him back. He's legit dead. But you know that old man version in another universe? We're bringing him back. Yeah, he won't even notice. Some people don't even notice. Some people just go, wow, he got old. That's basically it. Don't forget to check out the other Old Man Logan Wolverine videos right here in this playlist. And you can check out something recommended by YouTube right over here. Follow me on Twitter if you want to chat about your favorite superheroes. That would be cool. It's at Comicstorian. Or you can follow our Instagram where we bring you various awesome pieces of artwork from various comic books on a regular basis at Comicstorian. I'll see you next time right here.